Now this is the first picture. I took a panorama. This is a picture of the last city, or the last village that we went to, called Sakam. That's the first village. It's called Agia, and it was by far the nicest and the largest village that we went to. It actually had a main street, and you can see a little bit of it there. And they had some stores and stuff, and they had a phone booth. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of out of place. And there's their phone number if you want to go call a village out in the Amazon. You can just write that down. This was part of the main street. As you can see some stores. They had some power lines. But basically, when you got back into all the houses and stuff when we were ministering, it was a lot the same of the other villages that we went to. This is their soccer field. And soccer ministry was huge. We would play soccer 4 o'clock before dinner every day, just get exhausted because these kids would kick our butts because they were so good. But it was actually a great time to minister to the guys and just say, you know, why are you playing? You know, what do you know about Christ and stuff? And this is actually our girls playing. It's a male-dominant culture over there, so it was kind of weird. A lot of the time, you know, the women weren't allowed to play soccer with the men, but it just made you feel really privileged because American girls would come, like girls from our group would come up and want to play soccer with them, and just because they're American, they would let them play. You know, you don't really realize how privileged you are to be an American until you get outside of the country. And this field actually had goats grazing on it while you're playing soccer. There's a lot of poop and stuff around. Here's some of the kids in Agia. The kids in Agia were awesome to do VBS with. They're just so receptive, so funny to hang around with, and they love to play with you. Here's their playground, and it was a wooden slide. I don't really know what that big old bar thing is for. I don't know, we did a couple pull-ups on that, you know, just PT in the morning, do a couple pull-ups. This is a photograph of a group of guys that got saved one night. Like I said, Brazil, the people there are very open, you know, to getting saved right now. So we got a lot of salvations. And these are just a few of the guys that, you know, got saved. This girl in the middle, that is Josiani. And she was 17 and she lived in Agia. And she really connected with our group. And we had a great time getting to know her, and she was having some issues, you know, holding her back coming to Christ, and we asked her about it. And she ended up giving her life to Christ while we were there. And I can just imagine, you know, her hanging out with, you know, me and my friends here. She was just a regular teenage girl, just living out on the Amazon, you know. So in Agia, we actually invited a lot of town members on Sunday to come out and have like a luncheon with us at their community center. And the ladies on our boat cooked a few cakes, and we invited everybody to bring lots of different foods and stuff like that. And we just had a great time getting to know everybody in the village. And it was a great turnout, and it was so fun. Oh yeah. Those are purple potatoes. That's what it was.
Potatoes.
This is me. I caught piranha. And it's ironic because like about 10 minutes later we all went swimming after we caught piranhas, so it wasn't very smart. This is a picture of the community center. That's kind of close. But this is a picture of the community center that we had our services in. And at night there were so many bats flying around, it was crazy. And that's where I preached my first sermon, and you cannot see that because it's so dark. But that's me.
have to draw that in. So when
That's me. And all the guys actually, we were approached by our team leader before the trip, and they told us, you guys need to prepare a sermon, all of you do, and just be ready any night to, preach. And I was just like, I've never preached a sermon in my life. I don't know what to do. But it was, just God worked me through it and showed me, what to do. And we sort of alternated through all the guys every night which one was going to preach. And I preached in Agia. And I did it on Saul's conversion. That's me holding an alligator. Agia was actually it had a lot of alligators. And they told us about one big one that they had been trying to catch for years there that apparently was a man-eater. So we were kind of careful when we were swimming there. This actually, me and some of the other guys were really sort of into fruits and stuff like that because they had so many different kinds that we hadn't seen there. So we point up into a tree every once in a while and ask the translator, hey, can we eat that? Can we go climb that tree and eat that fruit? And so he pointed out one day and he said Alex said this was kielbasa, and you couldn't eat it. You just hollow it out and make it into a bowl. And I guess they used to use it, for some food purposes, but now it's just mainly used for, showering, like a shower bowl or like a wash bowl or something like that. So this is, I'll actually tell you about this guy. This is, we call him Alligator, but his real name was Jacare. Alligator was his nickname. And he was a great guy. He was on the crew of the boat, and he also couldn't speak any English, but he, the few phrases that he knew, he loved to break them out wherever he could, And he was, just to show you how God was moving through our group, he was actually really blessed by us being there and affected by us because we grew very close to him. And by the end of the trip, by the end of our time on the boat, one of the girls from our team wrote a letter to him, and he's this big, strong Brazilian guy, and he was in tears because he was so sad that we were leaving, and the letter just touched his heart so much. And he told us that before the trip, he had a Bible, but he never read it, and we encouraged him to get back into God's Word again. And that's another awesome picture off the side of our boat in Agia. And that's a photograph from one of our services. That's Josiah and a little girl. And this is our last day in Agia, so it was kind of bittersweet. We're saying goodbye to all the people in the village because this was a village that we stayed in the longest.
And how long was it?
It was about 4 days, I think. And after that, the next day we went to Pastor Francisco's home church, and it was in a place, what's it called, Santo Antonio. And we went to a church service in his home church, and it was really cool because all the mentors in our group and the leaders, they went out with some translators to sort of scout out the village and stuff. And they came across this house, and they had heard that there were some missionaries staying there. And they drove up to the boat, they drove up to the house, and there's this man just sitting outside, and he started to talk to them. He's just like, okay, I'll be right out. And it was an English accent. So there's a family from England that was staying there, and they were a long-term missionary family, and I think they had been staying there for about 5 years, and they're planning on staying for a lot longer. They had bought a plot of land off of the river, and this is them and me. So we invited them back on our boat, and we had a great time of fellowship. And the next morning, it was our last day on the boat, and the mentors had brought pancake mix, and they don't have pancakes in Brazil. So they made chocolate chip pancakes in the morning for us. And Jacare, that crew member that I was telling you about, he loved them. And they didn't have any maple syrup in Brazil, and we're just like, Jacare, if you love them now, you would love them with some maple syrup on them. You know, we had to eat them dry. They weren't very good dry. But all the ladies on the boat, they cooked looks like, 4 pizzas for us that morning. So we had pizza, pancakes, eggs, and a lot of different fruits for breakfast that morning. So it was a very weird breakfast, but we picked out. And this is, I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is the meeting of the waters in Manaus, and we got to see that. It's actually the only natural event that you can see from space. It's basically these two rivers, dark water and brown water, comes together, and they can't mix because I think they're different densities and they're running with different currents. So it's a really, really neat thing to see, and it goes on for miles and miles and miles. And this was on the main river. And we were able to use this as an example in our ministry, the meeting of the waters. You know, God and sin, they can't mix, just like the meeting of the waters, they can't mix. And this is a picture of our group. There you can see it a little bit. And there's Jacare right here. And after that, after we got off the boat, we checked into a hotel in Manaus, and we started our urban ministry. We would get driven out on a bus into the slums of Manaus, basically. We're staying in downtown Manaus, but we would go out into the slums of Manaus to minister to people there. And people would just come to the city looking for prosperity, and maybe they had a new job and things wouldn't work out. So they would just squat down in these little slum areas and have just like a one-room house made out of bricks. And everything seemed like it was constantly in construction. And these are 2 members of my group. Well, that one's our translator, that was Rebecca, and that one's B. And there was a very primitive sewage system there. There was just sewage out on the streets and stuff like that. And it was very it was strange because I had never been in an area like that in such poverty. And this was a church that we were based out of in Manaus. It was a new church that they had set up there. And we were working with a pastor called Pastor Jai. And we actually had the privilege of sort of kicking off their first church service there. And we were advertising it while we were doing our door-to-door mission work. We were advertising this huge event that we had on Saturday where they had hairdressers, they had free food, free dental and medical care for all the people in the community. And we invited everybody to come out, and we had a great turnout. And we also did VBS. And this is on Saturday. This is a bunch of people getting the soup that the ladies had prepared. And actually a Brazilian Christian TV channel showed up. And that's Pastor Jai. So that was really cool.